I want to ask, do you have any questions? But I know y'all don't have any. I know that you have no questions or comments. So I won't ask. I already know you didn't have a life this week. You're just waiting to be taught, so I won't ask. I was thinking about life, and I realized that life is not gonna let itself work except for the way it want to work, the way that it was set up to work, and that it's not going to work the way we try to make it work. And as a result of that, nobody has a real life, except for maybe one or two people who found the real way and let life work. But life is not going to do it our way. It's just not going to happen. No matter how hard we try to make it, it's not going to do it. It's not going to let it happen. It's going to become it will continue to become a struggle. It will continue to be difficult. You will continue to be lost. You will continue to be out there trying to find all the things to make it work, marriage, stuff, material things, and it just ain't going to work. You can try to force it, but it's just not going to work. And that's amazing to me, that it's not going to work. And I have one example of that. I have 1,000 examples, but I have one example of that. Joe, can you read that for me? And tell me where you get it from?
So I have the New International Version, or I have the King James Version. The King
Okay.
James Version you like. Which one do you want me to? But it's kind of
King
hard to
James.
understand.
King.
All right, so the King James Version, this is Matthew 19, 4 through 6. And he said unto them, have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. Where therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
Okay. And so read from the dummy.
All right. Having you read, he replied, that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let no man or anyone separate.
And so the point that I've noticed about that over the last 35 years of counseling and meeting with people, God said that to the man when you get married, go and take your wife far away from her family. Go and do your own thing, right? And I don't know of anyone that does that, and have done it. Especially now. In the good old days, I know of everybody that did it. They would leave the state. They would go. But I noticed that in today's America, when men get married, they either stay with her mama or his mama, or they move right down the block. You might well stay in the house with them. If you move it down the block somewhere or right around there, it's not what he's mean by that. And I noticed that today, that what I noticed is so weird, that every man who have stayed around his wife's mother or his mother, the marriage never worked. The marriage is sick. It's all about fighting. It's all about the mother and the wife trying to take control of the husband. It's all about misery. It's all about the men who stay around their mothers. They become drug addicts and alcoholics, and they become making babies out of wedlock. But the marriage never worked. And even if they try to stay together, they're still miserable. And I also noticed that the men and the women tend to take advice from their mother during the marriage. How is your mother going to give you good advice when she's already screwed you up all your life, and then screw her marriage up all her life? She doesn't have any good advice to give you. There is no advice to give you. Not good advice, but the first thing the men and the women do, they run to mama for advice. Everybody that I've counseled with, they have done that. And everyone is miserable that have done that. And then when they break up or they separate for a minute, the wife run back home to mama and the man run back home to mama. And it's still just mess. You are not gonna ever, never, ever have a successful marriage as long as you stay around your mama. You can't live around. She doesn't have advice. She's evil. She doesn't have good advice for you. And in her heart, she's jealous of you and your wife. So she's never going to let it work. And then, just think about this. You don't know anyone with a good marriage. You've not heard of anyone with a good marriage that stayed around mama. And life is not going to work that way. It's not going to work as long as you stay around mama. You can hang it up. Life is not going to let it work, because that's not the way life is set up to work. It's not going to let it happen. And moving down the block from, why you move down the block from mama? Think about that. Why? You might move out of the house, but you live right over there. Why? What? Shantae? No, that's just an evil excuse. If you're going to marry a woman that's not going to stay home and raise your kids, then why marry?
Most of them don't today.
So what?
Most of them don't today.
I'm sorry?
Most of them do not today.
Who, the women?
Yeah.
So why marry them?
Yeah. Good question.
And the answer?
I don't have it. for the sex.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the drug.
Right.
Really. But it doesn't make sense. Why marry a woman that is not going to stay home and watch your children?
Couldn't agree more.
You couldn't agree more. Can you come with the mic? Hello?
Couldn't
Yeah.
agree more, although it's too late for me
Why?
because I already did it.
Is it so you can't change your mind?
No, I mean, I already married her and I already dealt with everything you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost to the point where I feel like you're just talking to me.
See? Everybody think I'm talking about that. When I counsel with people and I talk about different things in the meeting, they hear it, they think I'm talking about that. I'm like, I wasn't talking about you.
Yeah.
Everybody got the same problem.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing.
No.
Give me the examples of how it relates to you.
Well, especially with the mother, you know, I'm off at work. I have no idea. I come home and there's some kind of energy that I can't figure out.
Yep.
And of course now I know. But at the time I remember going, what's going on here? This isn't the harmonious home that it could be.
Yeah.
And who's this woman buzzing around? Yeah.
Yeah. And when the men find out it's the mama, they afraid to get rid of the mama.
Yeah.
And they'll tell the wife, you better get rid of your mama. No, you get rid of the mama.
She was actually telling my wife that she needed to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to get a job. You need to help him. When I was fine. I loved that she was home taking care of that was the deal I made.
Right.
I actually made that deal in the beginning, but what can you do in a state like California when they just flip the script on you?
You can't have an excuse.
No, I understand,
You
but
still just say, you know what, mama, get out of my house. Why you didn't put her out? When you found out what was really going on, why didn't you throw out your stepmother? I mean, your mother-in-law.
honestly, I didn't find out until everything went south on me.
Oh, I see.
Then I started listening to you, and I was like, wow.
Maybe.
How did he know?
It's with everybody. It's the same thing. And life is not going to work the way we want it to work. It's just not going to work. We can do it wrong. We can call it love, but it's not going to work.
Is this fact day?
So what?
Is this fact day?
Facts? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's truth day.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Why did you throw your mother? Oh, you didn't have a mother-in-law, right?
I actually did. I moved close to my mother, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why did you do that?
For some reason, I thought that my ex and I were fighting like crazy anyway. I thought for some reason around my parents, she might have some social pressure to act normally. So that's why I moved her there. And she didn't want to stay home, watch the kids. And I supported everything. She would not, even when they were little infants, she was, oh, I'm going to go work. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
And why did you just throw her out, be done with it then, right then, as soon as you found that out?
Well, after, the second kid, and I realized this was her attitude, I left.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was it like when she moved close? You moved close to your mother.
I'm not sure it got much worse. It was always bad. I'm not sure it got much worse.
It got worse.
Maybe it did get worse, yeah.
Your mother was whispering to her when you were not paying attention. Believe me.
They really didn't like each other that much,
That's why she
openly.
was I rest my case.
Yeah. One thing you said this week that I thought was interesting is that you said you lost your kids the moment you decided to lay with an evil woman.
Yeah.
And that really just was like, wow, it hit home for me.
The moment you marry an angry woman, you lost your kids.
You said the moment you laid down with her,
Yeah.
you lost your kids.
On that very first lay down.
Exactly.
But because we're lost, we don't realize, we call that love. We don't realize that we're doing evil and we're calling it love. We're calling it everything but what it is. And it's just not going to work. And then we try to make it work. That's what's so crazy. If a marriage is not going to work, it's not going to work.
I got married because I tried to make it work.
Yeah.
I had kids out of wedlock, and then I thought I tried everything, and then I thought maybe she'll be happy if I marry her. She's telling me I need to marry her. That's the only reason I got married.
One of the dumbest things that men do is that. They say, "Oh, I got a baby with her now. I got to make this work. I got a baby. But it ain't going to work. You can't make evil work. Mm-hmm. You cannot make it work. And you're not supposed to be that tied to anything that you can't let go of. So if the laws, because the laws are not on the men's side right now, right? If the court said, okay, you can't see your baby, and you got an evil woman that's trying to keep you from seeing your kids, they say, okay, take her. You can have a baby. And let it go. Be willing to let them go.
I was wondering if the child support laws weren't in place and women were forced to be dependent upon men, I wonder how much better society would be.
It would be much better. Because one of the primary reasons that women leave, it is because they hate the man, they want to control him, but also they know that they're going to get the money.
Exactly.
So they don't have to worry about that. They can still do the little makeups and stuff like that. They're going to get the money, but if they didn't think they were going to get the money, they'll be less likely to leave. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. They'll just stay there and fight it out.
Or maybe behave better.
Not today's woman. Today's woman is cuckoo. Real cuckoo. Sorry. Except for those ladies who are waking up now. Another thing I noticed that married people do that is pure evil and never going to work is that they believe the lie from the mother that I want to see the kids. I'm grandmama and the kids need to see grandmama. They need to be around the grandparents. That's another lie. What she's really saying is that I need your kids so I can suck the life out of them too and destroy them in the same way I've done you. Because that's what happens. Isn't that right?
100%.
So what?
100%. You're very consistent on this truth day.
Thank you. I can't tell you the number of men who have turned their children over to the mothers, or the mothers, the wife of the man turned the children over to her mother, and the mother screw them up. And they say, well, Mom, don't give them any candy today. She'd say, oh, okay. And as soon as you're in your car, she's like, come on, Johnny, you can have some candy, but don't tell your daddy, don't tell your mama. That's messing your kids up. Because you're teaching them to lie to you. She's teaching them not to be honest with you, not to trust you, or nothing. And that's what she's done to you with your father. Wait, why? It ain't going to work the way you're trying to make it work.